Sheriff, you want to sit right here?
Yeah, let's sit there.
Right next to you.
All right, good evening. Ooh, that's loud. Welcome to Town Hall meeting. This is going to be a control meeting with respect for everyone, so make sure you behave. Um, Today, we're here to talk about moving forward with the Chambers County Justice Center through a public-private partnership, better known as the P3. And I know what you're thinking. What the hell is a public-private partnership? And why is this the best method of delivery for this project? County's going to be building a brand new jail and justice center that will include a 300-bed jail, a law enforcement center, and a courthouse. By utilizing the P3, we're going to be able to do it without raising taxes. I'll say it again, we're going to be able to do it without raising taxes. And we'll meet the state's requirement to have a new jail by 2023. We're going to be able to do it, and reduce the county's risk of cost and interest escalation by locking in on a guaranteed maximum price by this summer. A public-private partnership means we can construct the new facility cheaper and more efficiently and faster than under a traditional design, bid, build, procurement program. This program has been in the works since 2015. We had a citizen-led committee that evaluated population, demographics, jail standards, and the needs of a growing district and county court. And now we're finally going to see it come to fruition. Especially excited about what this project means for the sheriff's office. Sheriff Brian Hawthorne has commented that this project is going to alleviate many of the challenges they face, especially in the jail. Across Texas, public-private partnerships are a growing trend in procurement of facilities and infrastructure for the various government entities. Chambers County is going to be another example of how public and private entities can work together to best meet the needs of taxpayers. We're growing fast, and we continue to look toward the future and how to best meet the needs of our residents and businesses. Thank you for all coming today. And with that, I want to introduce our moderator for the night, which is Nathan Watkins with Americus. Nathan. Oh,
All right, my name's Nathan Watkins. I'll be the project manager on this project and represent Americus Holdings. Americus Holdings is a public-private partnership company that specializes in delivering projects throughout the state of Texas that are exactly this type of project. We were first engaged in this project because we knew that this had been on the Chambers County agenda for quite some time. In my past life, I served as city manager for the city of Mont Belvieu and have been a nearly lifelong resident in Chambers County. So I'm excited to be able to participate in it because it's right here in my backyard. Not often do you get to deliver projects and work in that kind of capacity, where you grew up and where you're from. What we wanted to do is, when we first started understanding what the needs were of the county to deliver the jail and the Justice Center, was first, what were the county's options to deliver it? They'd already engaged HO+K to start design on the project. So we sat down and conducted a 10-year financial analysis. And basically, we opened up the books at the county. The county was looking at financing this under a traditional design bid method with the interest and sinking side of their tax rate. That would have caused a tax rate increase of approximately 4 cents to be able to go out and deliver the project under that method. It would take considerably much longer to deliver. So we looked at their maintenance and operations side of their tax rate to be able to fund this, which is a required element of a public-private partnership. And what it came down to is the county can not only fund this project through a lease arrangement on the maintenance and operations side of their tax rate, but they can also maintain their current interest and sinking side of their tax rate to deliver much needed capital projects outside of the jail and justice center. Those are going to be drainage and roadway projects, and I think the county's going to speak more about those as they get further along. in this process. For tonight, we're going to have a Q&A and open house. The Q&A is not going to be one-on-one. It will be, it's a more intimate setting. We want to make sure that everybody's questions get answered. I know some people aren't comfortable asking questions in front of the public for fear of asking the wrong question or such. So you're going to have all of the experts in the room. You've got all your elected officials. You've got Commissioner Ryan Dagley. You've got Sheriff Brian Hawthorne, Commissioner Jimmy Gore. You've got Fortune County Judge, Commissioner Mark Tice, Commissioner Tommy Hammond. I want to introduce you to Jay. Jay, say your last name so I don't butcher it. Lachule from HOK. We've also got Jeff Bradley from HOK. So anything regarding the site plan of the project, the design of the project, and they're going to quickly get up and introduce the project before we break out tonight and speak more in depth about it. But they'll be able to answer any questions regarding that specific portion of the project. Our public finance expert, Craig Cunningham with DA Davidson's here. He's done the financial analysis on the project. He has spoken with some of the members of the audience already about how the project's going to be delivered. And if you have any question about the financing, he will be the person that will be able to get you intimately familiar with how the project is going to work from a finance perspective. And then obviously I'll be here, and my role is just to make sure that everybody's questions get answered. If you've approached some members of the team and you just feel like maybe you're not getting all the questions delivered, or maybe it's outside of their scope of work, please feel free to come to me directly, and I'll make sure that you get the information tonight, or we'll follow up with you with any information that you don't receive tonight. We'll follow up with you in the future. Make sure you got it. Additionally, we've got comment cards. You can feel free to fill out that comment card and leave it on the front desk as you leave. We'll pick those up, and we'll use those for FAQs moving forward as we proceed through the project. Where we are right now, we do have a project schedule up here as well. Sorry, Mel from Satterfield and Ponticus. Mel, sorry, can't see there. Mel's going to be a project manager for our general contractor, Satterfield and Ponticus. They're currently pricing out the project right now, which is estimated to be in the $140 million range. We believe we're going to be able to deliver the project in that budget estimate. And he'll be able to speak specifically to the project schedule, which you see up here. And we hope to have a guaranteed maximum price to the county for acceptance. Once the project's fully bid by the middle of the summer, the next step will be selling bonds, go through the Attorney General process, which Craig will be able to talk about. And then we'll start construction end of August, September, hopefully. All right, so now I want to bring up Jeff Bradley. If you want to come up and talk about the project a little bit.
Good evening, everybody, and hello to the judge and commissioners, everybody else, sheriff, and other folks who are here. I love it when the public's here, because that's what this building's really all about. And that's what we do at HOK, this division. We're a very large firm across the country. We have worldwide offices, but domestically here in the US, we have a civic and justice division. And this is what we do. We've been doing them for over 50 years, even in Texas. HOK has been in Texas. They did the original DFW airport. Now they work on Bush and all the others too. But we have a separate division that focuses nationally on nothing but justice and civic-based projects. And I wanted to let you know who Chambers County has brought in here to work with them and work for you and specialize in this. We've done over 750 major justice projects across the country. We've designed over 200,000 jail beds and prison beds for courthouses. We've done numerous courthouses that total over 2,000 courtrooms that we've done. You know, Nathan mentioned about P3. We are P3 specialists. We've recently delivered the Miami courthouse as a P3. Howard County, Pennsylvania is a P3. Another one right now we're working on is in New York. Another P3, Indianapolis. Travis County recently completed their own new courthouse, and that was also a P3 courthouse. We didn't do that one for them, but we did a lot of the front end documents that helped get them started on that particular project. We recently finished, we're just finishing up Potter County, which is Amarillo, Kaufman County's courthouse. We did Tarrant County's courthouse and a smattering of others around within state of Texas. It's been kind of an adventure. I think I first met Patty 12, 13 years ago, something like that, that we had this discussion that the Chambers County had these needs. And then eventually I met Heather and then the sheriff and then some of the commissioners and the judge and everybody else when we started talking about it and get involved in master plans, and COVID delayed things. But during that time, they asked us to do a study, a site study that looked at all the different potential sites within the county. And the one that rose to the top is the one that we're at right now. And it rose to the top for many different reasons. One of the most profound reasons, if I'm not mistaken, it's the highest place in the county over in that part of in Anahuac. It's the highest elevation. So when we talk about hurricanes and floods and other things like that, that's a very important thing that for all of us to consider. A lot of counties are trying to go to campuses if they can get the room. And that's what you have here in the back drawing on the left there. This is really a justice and county administrative campus that will set you up for the next 75 to 100 years. That's what courthouses typically in the state of Texas usually last, and others around the country. Some go over 100, but the range is 75 to 100. With all the growth in Texas, though, we're finding a lot of requests to set up campuses. And recently, we've just completed several more master plans for other counties doing entire campuses. We just completed a large one in Indianapolis, another one in Detroit, and three, just about four in Texas alone, just in the past couple of years. So it's a great trend. It's instead of having people scattered in buildings all over the city or all over the county, it's a great thing to do to consolidate them and put them together. One of the reasons we have the three of the drawings in the middle there for the courthouse and law enforcement center, the reason why I wanted to show those to you, because those are public buildings that you will be using and you will be entering, and wanted to give you an idea. One of the tricks to courthouse design and to make it very efficient and safe for everybody that's involved in that building, because a lot of things happen inside there, is to take three different groups. You have the public, you have the court officials, and you have inmates. And the trick, especially on a multi-story building, is how do you get them into one room without them ever crossing paths? And that's the trick that you see over here. The yellow is the public pathways. The green is the staff pathways. And the dark red colors you see, those are the inmate pathways. And the only time they will ever cross paths or meet is in the courtroom. And then they'll return back out the same way. And that's why we wanted to show you all three of the floors, because they show the county clerk's office and district clerk's office and some of the other offices that you frequent. And then next door and tied to that is the law enforcement center office, and that's the sheriff's new headquarters office. And then on the other side to the south, that's where the new jail will be. The particular jail, that'll be about 105,000 square feet. The courthouse is 66,000 square feet, and the law enforcement center headquarters is 28,000 square feet. So it's about 200,000 square feet of new public building. There's a number of people who will touch this project. It's close to 100 behind the scenes. We have a lot of people in our Houston office and our Dallas office both that are very involved in this. And we've worked with all the department heads throughout the county under the direction of the judge and the commissioner's court and other officials within the county. We've worked closely with them. We value engineered it. It means we've pulled it back and we've cut out things to save money for the overall cost of the building. And we've been working for months now with Nathan and Americus and Satterfield and Ponticus folks in trying to get this thing to be what's right, what's best for the county. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a little background about HOK so you know who's designing your project, and then also the purpose and some of the things behind the buildings. And if you have questions for us later, Jay Latchley, he's your project manager from HOK on this particular project. I'm the National Director of Justice for HOK, and I actually live here in Texas. In fact, I drove over here today. So pleased and honored to be here, and thank you. I look forward to continuing with the county.
Next up, we've got Craig Cunningham, who already introduced, with DA Davidson.
Thank you, Nathan. Hello, everyone, judge, commissioners, sheriff, members of the public. I echo the sentiments of Nathan and the colleague that just spoke from HOK. We're glad to be here. We're happy to be here. We're here to be transparent. We want to answer all your questions and clear up any challenges or questions that may be out there. But my name's Craig Cunningham. I work with DA Davidson and Company, probably a company you've never heard of, but we are in public finance and wealth management and all those things that big financial services firms do. but I work specifically in public finance, helping raise capital for public projects or projects for public use. In this particular transaction, I'm representing a company called Community Facilities Public-Private Partnerships, or CFP3 for short. That's their acronym they do business by, CFP3. They are a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to, among other things, promote education, health, housing, public safety, and based generally lessening the burdens of government by partnering with governments to develop and deliver public facilities. So, from a financing perspective and from an ownership perspective, the owner of the new jail and justice center will be my client, CFP3. They will borrow the money, the 140 million plus that we're going to need to develop this project. So they will need to repay this money, and they will repay this money by leasing the jail to the county, and the county will make a rent payment every year for about 30 years or 35 years, whatever term we set on. And then at the end of that term, we will give the keys to the jail to the county, because we are a nonprofit and our goal is to lessen the burdens of government by, among other things, bringing the private sector skills to bear for the benefit of the county, to bring low cost tax exempt financing. Since we're a 501c3, we can go out and borrow money in the tax exempt public markets. We don't raise any equity that's expensive to repay. We raise all the money through the issuance of bonds. And so that's who I represent. And I think if I can step away from the microphone here.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm going to do my best to not step away. I don't think they realized that you couldn't be heard online when you stepped away from the mic. So, first of all, thank you all for taking the time to be here. I feel like I'm almost here at Commissioner's Court. There's not many faces here, a few faces that I don't see often, but thanks again. So, I started realizing I was elected sheriff in 2013. And in 2015 and 2016, I realized the county was falling behind on trying to keep up with infrastructure. Obviously, at 13, I realized I didn't have any space for 74 employees. And we were kind of spread out. That's okay. Well, now I'm pushing, we'll say 150 employees. And I'm still trying to operate on the same space, except fortunately, Commissioner's Court and the county judge have been very giving to me of any county building that has become unutilized because they either built a new facility. He's been very willing to turn it over to the sheriff's office to use. So needless to say, our personnel are spread out around the county. Not the best for chain of command and trying to keep things organized, but we make do, and I'm definitely not complaining about that. From a jail perspective, though, I have a true complaint. So starting in 2015 and 2016, our average day population for the entire year was over the operational capacity of the current jail. So it's a 148 bed facility, but at 126 inmates, you're now at your operational capacity. And the reason being is because of what is called classification, trying to separate maximum security from medium security, from minimum security, from females to people that have gender issues, and I could go on of all the things that a sheriff is now required to take into account when you house inmates. So if you can imagine, that was in 2015, and we have just last year had a daily population of 197. So you can imagine the struggles that the chief deputy and I have with our staff trying to make sure that we stay inside the law, very important, and that we also stay inside the jail commission. There's a commission called Texas Jail Standards Commission, all right? And so we have to meet those criterias, and there's a 1 in 48 formula that you have to use for personnel per inmate, and that's 24/7, 365. And there's some challenges, and my challenges aren't Commissioner's Court from a manpower or from a dollar perspective. It's from a physical facility. The physical facility is truly the challenge. That challenge they're trying to temporarily fix, and I think it's important for me to say the temporary fix is they're building a 48-bed female facility there in Anahuac, just a block away from the current facility, but it can only be used for 3 years. That was an agreement. That is a 3-year agreement with the Texas jail standards, and every sheriff and every jail in Texas has that criteria. If you build a temporary facility, and what the temporary facility does is it allows you, they will waive certain requirements, and many of them are life safety issues that they will let you take an easier and less expensive route if you agree to do certain things. But when you build a new jail facility, they don't waive those. They only waive them in the temporary facility. And then you have to be able to prove up that in your temporary facility plan that you can account for those things that were waived. All right, and it could be all kinds of different things that we don't want to get into. But we're fortunate that the jail commission is allowing the county to build a temporary facility that we can use for 3 years. I will tell you that our female capacity, people always ask, how many female can we handle? We can handle 12. Currently, I have 31 in custody. Currently, I have inmates in Louisiana. Part of why we have them in Louisiana is because just about every jail in Southeast Texas is full right now. And if they're not full, they're not taking outside inmates because they're worried about being full. And on a number of occasions, we've had situations where we've had inmates in other counties. We did we were utilizing Galveston County quite a bit, but we were asked to come get all our inmates because they were at capacity and they were filling up, and they're on their way to doing these same type of meetings, trying to figure out how to build a new jail. So I will tell you from a jail perspective, it's not a want. It's an absolute need at some point. From a sheriff's perspective, I don't care how the commissioners and the county judge finances it. It doesn't matter to me. It just needs to get done. Because at some point, the county is going to ultimately have to pay the price somehow, some way. And I do not want to have to tell, there was a time during COVID where I had to tell the sheriff's deputies to essentially not make an arrest. Well, I don't think that's what the people in this room, the people online want from a sheriff. I think that the citizens want us to take action on people that commit crimes in this county. And that has always been my goal, always been my promise, and will continue to be. But I can't do it if we don't have the capacity to incarcerate those that are dangerous or incarcerate those that steal from our citizens. All right, let's talk about infirmary real quick. So we have a very small, antiquated infirmary. Not a real big deal until you have a pandemic. Then let's move off of the pandemic. Even when we don't have a pandemic, one of the things that I need is what's called a negative pressure cell. And I don't need just one, I need about 3 or 4. But I got to be honest with you, what a lot of people don't realize is every time I turn around, Commissioner's Court is cutting things. Not because they don't want to give it to me, but because they're trying to keep this cost down. So where I'm trying to tell them that, give them some projections where this county's going to be well after I'm not the sheriff, because of the costs, we're already starting to reduce some things. I understand it. I might not like it as the sheriff, and whoever is to follow me as a sheriff will probably look at me and go, I can't believe you let them do that. Well, I'm not letting them do it. Obviously, they're doing it for cost-cutting measures. So needless to say, negative pressure cells are very important to us. And negative pressure cells, so you know, it's not just for things like COVID, it's for any kind of a disease that is airborne, so that when you get an inmate in that you cannot release, it's not in your best interest to release. You want to put him in some kind of a cell, right, that it isolates him, that pulls the air that he breathes out of the facility so you don't end up infecting everybody. We have one isolation cell. It has not been used for a sick person since I've been the sheriff, because I have no true maximum bed cells. So I could go on, and I will tell you that I think we've been keeping some form of a murderer in that cell since I've been the sheriff. We've never used it. Tommy, can you remember a time it's ever been used? Other than because it's a maximum cell, so we have to use it for a maximum cell because we're full everywhere else. I've got them in Louisiana. And the other problem that you find is the other counties and the other places, like Louisiana, they don't want your maximum security. All they want is your easy inmates. So ultimately, we end up with all the maximum security. So what we have are a bunch of, I'll just leave it as angry maximum security personnel in our county jail, which is a real trying opportunity on staff, because primarily what we have is dormitory style, and we don't have a whole lot of what we call single cells or isolation cells. Everything is open bars. I could go on. Some of you have had the pleasure of being in the jail, and you've kind of seen what we deal with. So with that being said, now let's talk about office space. So I told you that when I became the sheriff, there were 74 personnel. And if you look at the statistics of when this county has had massive growth, it started happening about 2010, and here we are at 2023. And we've gone from, say, somewhere in the area of 35,000 to now over 50,000. Well, the sheriff's office has tried to continue to grow, whether it's with jailers, with dispatchers, run 911 facility, with detectives, with deputies. So now we've gone from about 174 personnel to approximately 150 overall personnel. But we've had no growth in office space. I'm still trying to operate in the same sheriff's office that was built in 1982. So there's some struggles. That's not to say, like I say, Commissioner's Court's given me office space, so it's not their fault by any means. We're just at a point where the county is going to have to make some decisions on where we're going to take our justice center. Securing entrusted property. So in securing entrusted property to you all would be anything that does not belong to me. It's not a property of the sheriff's office, not property of the sheriff. It's somebody else's property, whether it's evidence, whether it's something that's been found, whether it's something that's been turned over to us. Very important, the rules of securing entrusted property. When I became the sheriff, we were utilizing 2 rooms for entrusted property, and it was not being utilized properly. So one of the things that I did when I became the sheriff is I started moving the direction of the sheriff's office to follow the guidelines of the national standard on how to protect and secure entrusted property, primarily evidence. Evidence is the #1 thing that we worry about. Now I'm using 3 different rooms and 3 different connexes. Those are connexes that are outside the facility. Fortunately, they're air conditioned. We try to do everything we can to secure and not compromise the evidence, right? But trust me, every day I worry about the fact that those connexes are not part of the secure facility. And not afraid to say, I think it's wrong for us to be using connexes to secure people's livelihoods, their crimes that were committed against them, and all of those other things that take place in a sheriff's office world. So there's no question about it. At some point, we've got to do something inside the sheriff's office to create a proper storage and laboratory services for the crime side of things. Talking about processing vehicles. Currently, we have no real vehicle processing center. And I don't have to tell anybody in this room that there's pretty much a vehicle attached to every crime. It's some form or some fashion, there is a vehicle attached to a crime. Whether it's the vehicle that he got there to commit the crime, whether it's the vehicle that he used to leave the crime, or whether the vehicle itself is the crime. But we have no proper place for my CSU, CSIs, the investigators, to properly process vehicles. Some people might think, well, is that a big deal? Well, it's a big deal when you get in the courtroom and you're Cheryl Leak and you're trying to prosecute a murder case or a sexual assault or whatever, that a vehicle was involved in it. They don't want to hear that the processing was done out in the rain, in the driveway of the sheriff's office, or in the old shop or barn where we try and repair police cars. So bottom line is at some point, the citizens are going to have to realize Commissioner's Court has an obligation to try and move forward and try and provide the facilities that we need for a county that's growing as fast as we are currently growing. Talking about courthouse security, the sheriff is also responsible for courthouse security. Right now, I'm trying to provide some form of security in sometimes 3 or 4 different buildings. Well, there's a better way. There's a better way. It's called having a justice center, a courthouse facility that the citizens and the people that become a threat to courthouse security have one way in and one way out, so that we only have to secure a small particular area instead of multiple buildings with multiple entrances. And that's what we do now. We do our best, and it is what it is. And I can honestly tell you, the judge knows it, the commissioners know it. The only so-called escapes we've ever had are from the lack of physical security from courtrooms that are not attached to the jail or some secure corridor or some secure way to move inmates. And some of them I have publicized, or the public may know about, because we were very successful and my detectives and deputies acted quickly and were able to get everybody back into custody. Others, the jailers, had to just foot chase them down and tackle them, sometimes over in the marsh on the other side of the RV park in Anahuac. Bottom line is there's a responsibility for the growth of this county that we've got to start doing things differently. We'll continue to chase them. We'll continue to have them in leg irons. We'll continue to have them in handcuffs, but that's not the way to do things in 2023. It's just not. Talk about jury summons. So myself, Patty, Heather, those of you that know all of us, and I think most everybody in here knows all of us. It's always been bothersome to me to think that we ask jurors to come to the courthouse. We ask them to sit on the steps. We ask them to be completely uncomfortable in crowded positions, in crowded rooms. And we ask them to give of their time, and then we don't even have a facility designed and set up for jurors and people that give of their time and give of their profession to come sit and do their civic duty. Myself and Patty have been working on this for a long time. Patty has done a terrific job of trying to use other facilities, using our community buildings to try and do jury summons. But bottom line is it needs to be in the courtroom, in a courtroom facility. Maybe one day, hopefully, the commissioners will be able to make all that happen. With that being said, I'll take any questions. If somebody's got any questions, I'll sure take them. I don't mind answering. Absolutely. You bet, Chief. So here's what I will tell you as of now, and sometimes it changes a little bit. When I use the term change, it is based upon what we think is that priority, whether how many dormitory cells we need or how many single cells, isolation cells that we need. But currently it's set up for 336 beds. And Craig, Jeff, I'm going to turn to you. Where are we now in female facility? Okay, so 25% of the 336 is female. So we'll say somewhere in the neighborhood of around 90. That's fluctuated based upon whether we're from a dormitory perspective. The dormitories are 48-bed dormitories. And then we have a couple of 72-bed dormitories for the males. You know what? I hope to be in a rocking chair somewhere, and I'm going to leave it up to the Commissioner's Court. But So the current design, Chief, is set up where there is the ability currently right now to add another 90 beds to it. So there, I would hate to use the term feasibility study because I don't want to get too deep into it, but here's what I will tell you is those have been debated, and the experts that are a lot more educated on the dollars and cents and the cost of construction and what it takes to do it have no doubt identified that the one-story facility, and definitely from a sheriff's perspective, we want a one-floor facility. There are some ways that you can stack jail cells on top of each other, and we're looking at some of those options. But one thing you want to do is you want to try and do your best to avoid elevators inside a jail if you can, because it's a lot of man hours and time getting in an elevator, moving inmates inside a facility. When you have to, you have to, but we're gonna try and avoid it. But from a feasibility study, you probably have to get with this panel up here. What I will tell you is that we've been working on this for a number of years. I mean, we've actually been probably working on it 7 years, and we've looked at a lot of options. And I will tell you that the options that they have put here, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't move forward with it. Now, we have shrunk it. I'm not afraid to tell you, we've cut some square feet from the sheriff's office. We've cut square feet from the jail. We've cut square feet from the courthouse justice center. We've cut courthouse, actual physical potential courtrooms, excuse me, not courtrooms out of it that I personally don't think we should, but it's because they're trying to get the costs down for the taxpayers. I've watched them in the turmoil. You got a couple of commissioners, I gotta tell you, that are pretty good with a red pen. So, Gloria? No, there's been a question about when that 3 year starts. That 3 year starts from the time it gets commissioned. So even if for whatever there's something gets kind of hung up in the construction process or a problem, and they are still having problems from getting certain materials and equipment, but I think they're pretty well on track. Is what I was told today. So, but it's from the time when it gets commissioned, then that's when that 3 year clock will start. Okay, let me close real quick, because most everybody in this room knows I've been pretty outspoken about it. I will tell you, as your sheriff and sitting back and watching Commissioner's Court, there is not one thing that I think Commissioner's Court has done that they are not looking out for the taxpayers and the best interest of the constituents of this county. I mean, I've watched the judge turmoil over the direction to take it, and his turmoil has all been based upon what he thinks is the best decision for the county, whether it's the judge or the commissioner. So I can honestly say, I hope that the county will continue to move forward with this project, because sitting around waiting and stalling it is not going to change anything, and things are not going to go away. The problems that we have are not going to go away. Thank you. I appreciate it.
At this time, we're going to open up the open house Q&A portion of the town hall meeting. So you're going to be able to ask those specific questions to, nobody's leaving, and in a more one-on-one basis. There's been a lot of important takeaways. You've heard the why the county's pursuing this project. Chambers County is in the top 10 fastest growing counties in the state of Texas. You've heard that although it is a very expensive project, nobody's denying that the county's intent is to deliver it without a tax rate increase to the taxpayers of Chambers County, which is hugely important. How does that happen? It happens because Chambers County's worked hard to bring businesses and be open for businesses. That's what your commissioners and your judges work hard on that allow for that. Jeff Bradley and Jay, who work across the nation on these projects, can say that Chambers County is the envy of a lot of public entities across the state, because there's simply a lot of entities that just can't deliver a project like this and keep up with growth without coming to the voters and asking for a tax rate increase. You have also heard from a developer standpoint, we're going to be able to deliver this project through a guaranteed maximum price, which is critically important and a huge advantage to Chambers County. Cost escalation has risen 8% annually in construction costs for the last 2 years since COVID, not to mention the impacts that you've seen in your personal lives. So they get to mitigate that risk as soon as the GMP is locked in. Cost escalation is then borne by Americus and Satterfield and Pontigas, who are going to deliver it. And we also still get to access the municipal bond market, which is the cheapest financing available to deliver the project. So look forward to hearing your questions, and we're going to go ahead and open up. Feel free to get up and ask questions, whoever you may have. Thanks for coming tonight.